Oh,
For the rest of you, I appreciate your patience here as we got a little bit ahead in our announcements today, and so we're actually waiting for the participants to join us, and you probably deducted or understood that from the conversation.
Okay, sounds good. So while Jamaica, if you're getting things ready for intros, I'll start working on sharing my screen. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
good afternoon, everyone. As membership chair, I want to thank you all for participating.
Someone might have their mic open that should be muted maybe right now, and maybe two computers going in the same room, same IP address. You get a little feedback there. Go ahead, Jamaica.
Participating in our house.
Do you have your phone on, Jamaica? Phone and computer?
Now it should be better.
That's good.
Okay, participating in our Housing Matters Lecture Series. Rotary is an international service club. We raise money to distribute to local and international organizations. We are a global network of 1.2 million people, and we have 35,000 clubs worldwide. Rotary is where neighbors, friends, and problem solvers share ideas, join leaders, and take action to create lasting change. We promote peace, fight disease, provide clean water, sanitation, and hygiene, save mothers and children, support education, and grow local economies. If you would like to know more or want to join our club, please contact us at neighborprovisorotary@gmail.com. I'm ready to do the introduction if everyone else is ready. Is it 12:30? Yeah. Dr. Lipka, is it okay for me to start?
Yes, ma'am. I believe we have everyone here.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to our fourth and final installation of July's Housing Matters Lunch and Learn Speaker Series. Earlier in July, we touched on fair housing issues on the county level with Cook County Commissioners Scott Britton, Brandon Johnson, and Kevin Morrison. We also discussed housing counseling services as well as transitional housing and support programs for single parents with Mary L. Jones. And last week, we were joined by Cook County Board of Review Commissioner Larry Rogers, Jr., who discussed the functions of the Board of Review and his efforts to ensure that taxpayers do not pay more than their fair share of property taxes. This week, I am proud to welcome some of my very own Cook County employees. Our taxes and real estate team has come together for this week's series called Property Tax Sales, Don't Be on the List. This team of experts is led by Clerk Yarborough's Deputy Clerk of Real Estate and Tax Services, Deputy Clerk Ms. Carolyn Wilhite. She will also be joined by Stephen Kidd, which is the Tax Redemption Department Manager, Tanya Anniford, she's the Manager of Maps and Tax Extensions, Guadalupe Garcia, and she's the Supervisor for Tax Sales Posting, and Madre Belmer, who is the Supervisor of the Customer Service. Carolyn, I would like to welcome you to our Housing Matters Speaker Series and want to start off by asking you and your team to introduce yourselves and to tell us a little bit about your background and the work each of you does with our office.
Okay. So thank you for the invitation, Rotary Club, and to the president. So hi, everybody. I've had a chance to participate in several of the sessions, which have really been great. And we're excited to host this one ourselves. So let me know if you can hear me clearly, because I started using my cordless here so that I can hear everybody due to what's happening in the Thompson Center right now to ward off some of that noise. So as Jamaica stated, we're going to be talking about the Cook County property tax sale, and where we concluded that you don't want to be on the list. Better yet, you don't want your PIN number on the list, your neighbors on the list, your cousins or your friends. You just really don't want it there. So about our division, and let me scroll a little bit slow here, and let me know if I'm moving too fast or you can't see something as we go through this. And you may see a double screen here as I'm working off of Zoom at my desktop, which is showing quite a bit since I have two monitors. So our agenda for the day, and we will hit those persons that will be participating, Jamaica, as requested. We'll be talking about, of course, meeting our team. We have a great team of people that have been with the clerk's office for over 20 plus years each. And once you see the full dynamics of our group, as I was trying to add up the number of years, I was thinking this is over 170 years worth of intellectual clerk property tax informational knowledge that sits over here in this group that can really help any taxpayer at any time with questions that they may have. So we'll meet the group, as well as we're going to talk about function of the Real Estate and Tax Services Office, property taxation, and give you all an overview of the property tax sale, even though it's not sponsored by our office. However, we hold a key role in that function. And then we'll also talk about types of tax sales, redeeming property taxes, and then how we can help you help your constituents, or help your family member, help your friend, or better yet, help yourself stay off of the property tax sale list. So with that being said, as I stated, we have a very vast amount of information that flows from the top of the house, of course, the clerk, the chief, and then down to me as deputy. Right now, we do not have a director, and that spot's open. But underneath our director, we have the supporting managers. And so I think they can come off speaker real quick and state their full name in the order that we show it on the chart so that we can keep things flowing, and the number of years they've been with the clerk's office. So starting with, let's go with Steve, and then Fred's not here, he's on vacation, and then jumping to Tanya, and then Lupe, and then Madre, who's our temporary customer service supervisor, and then Peter and Lewis. You there, Steve? Can you come off mute, Steve? Or does Frank, do you have to take him off mute?
No, he can take himself off mute at any point in time. Let's see. I just asked him to unmute, but it has to come from his end. It appears he's calling in.
Oh, okay.
There we
so
go. There he is. We can hear you now, Stephen.
Okay, Steve. So who you are and the number of years? Okay, so we're going to keep it moving. Fred's not, so Steve has, I think, over 20 plus years. I'm putting him in the range of 21 to 27. And he's over our tax redemption department, which covers our tax sales, our tax research, as well as our customer service. So Steve will be there as long as he gets things connected technology-wise. And then we have Fred Newsom, who's over our account manager. He's the accounting manager, and he's on vacation today. And then, so Tanya, you want to tell us a little bit of what you do and how many years?
Sure. My name is Tanya Antofer. I'm the manager of maps and tax extension for Cook County Clerk here in Yarborough. I've been in Cook County government since 1998, so I've been here a little while. And my department, the tax extension department, we calculate the tax rates for about 1,000 taxing districts in Cook County and the tax amounts for 1.8 million parcels in Cook County. And that's what I do. I do have Lewis here in the room with me if you want to kind of...
Yes, let's go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Hi everyone, my name is Luis Casianos. Been the supervisor for the map department, I want to say 2 years now going, but I've been in Cook County total for about 16 and a half, going on 17 years, 16 of those with the clerk's office. And we do the tax maps, the divisions, that sort of thing when it comes to our area, legal descriptions and that sort of thing. That's what we, general GIS, work for the clerk's office.
Great. Let's go to Lupe.
Hi, my name is Guadalupe Garcia. I'm the Supervisor of Tax Sales Services. I've been with the county for 25 years, and I handle all delinquent tax sales from annual sale to scavenger sale and forfeiture sales, and hold record of each sale as it goes to deed or redeemed.
Okay, and Madre. You have to come off mute, Madre. We can see your mouth, but can't hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invite, Rotary Club. My name is Madre Belmer. I am a member of the county clerk's office for over 28 years. And lately, I've been the temporary supervisor of the customer service department for almost 8 months.
Okay, did Peter join us? Okay, and then,
Yes, he's there.
okay.
I'm here.
Okay, great. So Peter, yes, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do and the number of years here in the clerk's office.
My name is Pete Warner. I'm the supervisor of tax sales research for the clerk's office in the tax redemption section. I've been here 31 years plus, and we do all the research on bills ordered by all customers, be it taxpayers, tax buyers, and title companies.
Excellent. And then let's jump back to Steve. I think Steve's now connected as well. Okay, we're going to have to come back to you, Steve. All right. Also supporting our team, we have our Executive Administrative Assistant, Miss Yvette Denny, who joined us a couple of months ago, and she is definitely getting her feet wet in the property tax realm. And then we have Randall Jackson. We have him monitoring the floor today since all of us are on the presentation, but he's our business analyst and project liaison. And Randall has over 20 plus years in the office as well. So with that being said, Jamika, we can continue since we've introduced everyone.
Yes, please feel free.
Okay, we will continue. So with that, we've provided and we'll probably share this presentation with everyone because I see it's about 43 of us on here, give or take those of us who are presenting, but it's enough people to make an impact to, as you remember those old commercials, and I'm probably dating myself, you know, where it says you tell two people and they tell two people. So it's enough of us to share information about the clerk's office so that anyone will be able to have assistance and connection to our office either by direct phone or sending us an email through the general query email that goes Clerk Yarbrough. However, it's responded to by her wonderful admins. And if they don't have the answer, of course, they pass those questions on to us, where we can respond to you within 48 hours. So we wanted to make sure you all had the contact information for any issues or anything that may arise related to real estate and the clerk's office. Next, we want to talk about, and I think I went a little, okay, here we go. In regards to the clerk's office itself, is just the real estate tax services functions, and we've highlighted the different managers and supervisors over the area. So if we were to say the clerk's office has about 6 main functions, going from collections, general over-the-counter purchases and mail, the finance office, which handles our redemptions, accounting, that monitors and manages the overall revenue for the clerk's office. And we bring in, through the tax sale and other purchases and vital records, over $140 million annually. And then, of course, we have our tax extensions department that Tanya talked about, along with Lewis, and what we cover there. And we are in that final phase of getting prepared for your wonderful tax bills that will be coming out. Her team is finalizing those calculations. And then Lewis spoke of the maps and GIS that he covers, over 9,000 tax maps covering 1.8 million parcels of land for Cook County. And then when we talk about our redemption services, that goes into the tax sales. And we noted here that in 2007, let me make sure I get this right. Our last tax sale was May 2019. May or June, right in there. And we sold, or the treasurer sold, the 2017 annual sale of 11,955 pens. That is quite a bit of pens that came through the clerk's office. And this is important to the clerk's office because we are really the record keeper of the tax sale information that funnels through from beginning to the end. And with that, we also have our tax research group, that's Peter, and our customer service, which is phone, record keeping, and issuance of delinquent tax bills. And so I'm speaking for Steve because he handles that redemption services section. All right, so when we talk about property taxation in Illinois, we are governed by the tax code. It is not written by the clerk's office, contrary to popular belief. When people come in and they're really upset about, one, they have to purchase a document, or they're redeeming their taxes. And so we want to put it out there for those of you that this may be your first experience understanding what we do in our office. We are governed by the state of Illinois tax codes and then the various ordinances from Cook County. So, high level, that part of taxation, we start with property identification, which is our maps and GIS. Then we go to our tax rates and tax calculations, which is our tax extension department. And then, of course, the redemption portion, which is the prior tax bills, including the tax sales and redemptions. All of this is part of the property taxation process. In addition, we just want to share with you that the process also starts with recording documents. So those of us who are homeowners, landowners, condominiums, anything with land records, you are beginning that process with recording those documents in the clerk's office, which joined us in December of 2020. So this is the full, let's say, taxation or tax cycle that a property goes through, from records, recording them, to the pins, the parcels, and of course the assessor assessing the value, and then coming back to us for calculating the rates, exemptions, and then we get the equalized factor from the state of Illinois. And of course, you all had the previous session with the Board of Review, and then things get handed off to the treasurer's office for collection. So that's the bill you will be seeing in the next month and a half or so. And then, of course, the treasurer distributes those taxes to all the taxing districts, such as the villages, the parks, the schools, etc. At the end of the day, if we can make that statement, if all of the funds are not collected by the treasurer for those particular properties, it may go into the tax sale, and that leads us and also to the redemption part. And then finally, if we can put it all together, we can say the delinquent taxes from a record keeping standpoint is maintained by the clerk's office, and we're stating for tax sales only. So it's quite a bit there that the clerk's office has a role in for this process. And so I'd like to read a statement from the, let's say, the tax code, which was very interesting. And then, Frank, you may laugh at this, or if there's some other deputies on the phone, because of the new legal word we learned yesterday in one of our meetings with Travis. So here's a new legal word. From the standpoint for the county clerk's books and records, prima facie evidence, okay? That's our new legal word, Frank. The books and records of the county clerk or copies thereof certified by the clerk shall be prima facie evidence to prove the sale of any property for taxes or special assessments, the redemption of the property, or payment of taxes or special assessments thereon. So I wanted to make that statement because at the end of the day, if you walk through our office, you will see probably about 5 or 6 rows of judgment books. These are the books of records maintained by the clerk's office for proof, or better yet, prima facie evidence that a sale occurred for a respective PIN number. So you may want to visit our office to take a look at those books one day to just gain an understanding. And I'm going to call out, of course, Lupe or Madre will give you that wonderful tour along with Steve. So as I reference the Illinois tax code, I want to make the statement that we are under ordinance. So often we get people that come in and they're really upset. They're getting a letter, they're seeing it on their tax bill that their taxes have been sold. But it is set by state statute that taxes to be a first lien on property as of January 1st of each year. And if taxes are not paid, the statute allows for the county to sell the delinquent taxes to tax buyers. As people say, it is what it is. And in that process, it follows through with the assessor, the clerk, and the treasurer. So those 3 agencies working together for the taxation of Cook County. And then finally, where a taxpayer fails to redeem, the tax buyer is allowed to take the property through a court order. So again, this is all by tax law, not made up by the clerk's office. So if you have to come in with a family member for them to understand, it's all by tax law. We did not make this up. Okay, so as we talked about briefly, just the overall taxation, and then we get to the tax bill. So we wanted to point this out to you because those bills will be coming out in the next month and a half or so. And with that being said, some of us take for granted in reading that tax bill, especially if you may have continue to have a mortgage and it may be in escrow and your bank is paying for the taxes on your behalf. I would suggest to continue reading that letter, or let's say that bill that comes in the mail, because it does state somewhere at the top or somewhere, I know I've read on mine, this is not a bill, but for information only. And so these are sections that we want you to pay attention to as you see these bills, along with sharing it with your neighbor, friends, and family, because payment in full must be made prior to the scheduled tax sale date to avoid unpaid taxes being sold. There's a section down at the bottom of the respective tax bill. So we made it a little larger so you all can see it. But there are important messages, as noted here on the bill, that we should respectfully read. Okay, so some of those messages that lets a taxpayer know that their taxes have been sold are in the messages. For this one, it says 2017 taxes were sold. If you have not redeemed these taxes, call Cook County Clerk's Office 5656, etc. And then there could be the message of urgent. Your 2018 taxes are delinquent. pay@cookcountytreasurer.com. So a taxpayer, or we as taxpayers, we're getting messages from the county treasurer to let us know that we haven't completed the payment or our taxes were sold. Often we get customers that come in and say, well, I didn't know. So I think many of us who are standing behind the counter, we're just nodding to ourselves saying, why didn't you know? It could be that your tax bill is going to a different address from where you are as the taxpayer of the taxes. That's an idea or suggestion that we want to make sure that you tell other people, check the address for your tax bill, because if any notices come out, it will come to that address. Also, it is required by the treasurer's office to notify a taxpayer of a sale. So the notification will come from the treasurer's office before the sale, and then you will receive a take notice after the sale, and that's coming from us. So there's several ways that a taxpayer gets information that your taxes have been sold or there is a problem. So I'm going to call on either Madre, Steve, or Lupe if you want to chime in on this segment in regards to just overall notification that your taxes have been sold. And we will be showing a take notice.
Yeah, I think I'm going to let Madre handle that, Carolyn, because he deals with the take notice.
Sounds good.
Hello, everyone, again. So far as the tax sale,
Madre, you faded out. You there, Madre?
Madre, it appears your microphone is muted.
okay, gotcha. Sorry about that. I'm talking from I'm on my phone, so a call came in and kind of paused it for a second. So I do apologize about that. But as far as the tax sale goes, it does, as page 11 does indicate, it does start with the treasurer. They do put the tax sale together. But once a person's taxes are successfully sold, then the tax buyer who has purchased those taxes, they do have to send out take notices to the owner of record, to the taxpayer record, that is. Whoever's name is on the tax bill is who the tax buyer will send the take notice to. The tax buyer will file the take notice with the county clerk's office. They will pay a fee for us to mail it. Once we receive the take notice, we have 10 days to mail it out to the taxpayer record. The tax buyer has to give us that take notice within 4.5 months, which would be 4 months and 2 weeks after the tax sale date. So in order for the tax buyer to successfully notify a person and be able to proceed forward to a tax deed, they do have to file that take notice with us within 4.5 months of them making the tax buy. We will then send the notice out within 10 days to the taxpayer record of whomever they type on the take notice for us to mail the take notice to. At that point, the take notice will have the information of who the tax buyer is. It'll have the certificate number, the PIN number, and the tax sale year that the tax buyer purchased. That notice will go to the property owner to tell them how much time they have, and then will direct them to either call our office or they could come in person to our office to obtain the estimate of redemption.
Okay, thank you, Madre. So Madre has taken us to a couple of slides ahead, which references the take notice and just shows you a sample of what it looks like. And so for those of us on the phone, you can take a look at this so that if your neighbor comes to you to say, I got this letter and it says take notice at the top, you know what to do. You can come to our office, or better yet, direct your neighbor that they need to make a visit to our office so that they can receive a cost of estimate in regards to their taxes or to get more detailed information. So thanks, Madre. And I'm going to take us back a couple of slides.
You're welcome.
And as I stated, some of this will just be for information only. And Frank, you can share the presentation as I may go quickly through a couple of slides that we have. But as it's stated here in the tax code, the collector shall transcribe into a record prepared for that purpose and known as the annual tax judgment, sale, redemption, and forfeiture record, the list of delinquent properties. So this is where we stated you do not want to be on the delinquent properties tax list. Years ago, and I may be dating myself, remember when the Sun-Times and the Tribune at a certain time of the year around April, May would be extremely thick and there would be a separate section in there? And those were those tax sale PIN numbers for delinquent taxes that were being sold. According to Lupe now, they're no longer in the Tribune or the Sun-Times, but going to various local newspapers. So again, taxpayers can see if they have been delinquent and if their taxes may be potentially sold because it has to be accepted by a buyer. So the final record of all of this is still kept in our office with the county clerk. So delinquent taxes overall, just 3 important notices here to make you sharp in this area. Of course, we're using the term delinquent taxes because the property tax bill, if unpaid by the due date, and let's say because we're a little bit thrown off for 2021 due to, everything with COVID-19 and just the changes here, let's say that the regular tax bill would have been due, and Tanya, you can give me that exact date. Would it have been April 1st?
Are you talking about the first installment?
Yes, the first installment.
Yeah, it would have had a penalty date of March 1st.
Okay, so March 1st, let's say if everything was status quo from previous years. So if you have not fully paid your property taxes by March 1st, you are technically late. March 2nd, you are late. And there is a late assessment of 1.5% interest per month. And so the treasurer has a wonderful way of adding that to your bill and calculating it as such. So also partial payments. We're noting here, partial payments do not prevent the property from being sold. That's a key point that owners need to understand. Now, yes, you can make partial payments. However, it's not going to prevent your property from being sold. By the time the due date comes, you want to make sure all your property payments add up to $1,000 or whatever that amount is if you've been paying $250, and you're trying to get there. With notification of the tax sale being sold, as we told you earlier, it comes from the treasurer. It's on your statement. It's a couple ways for a person to be notified. So that leaves us often with no excuse. Types of property sale. And this is where I will probably call on Steve or Lupe to interject here. In regards to the types of property tax sales, we have the annual sale, the scavenger sale, both held by the treasurer. And the scavenger sale is biannual, an odd number of years. So let's say if all was status quo from 2020 to 2021, we would be having that scavenger sale. However, as you know, things were pushed back by the governor due to the executive order. So therefore, the tax sale has been delayed, but a recent ordinance was passed by Cook County with the timing of everything that should occur. So that annual sale will be held this year unless something changes. The timing of that scavenger sale, which Lupe and I were talking about, and Lupe, you want to interject on the potential of that scavenger sale?
Potentially, the annual sale is scheduled to be 90 days from the annual sale for the 2018 taxes to be sold. So 90 days from October, if I'm not mistaken, is what the initial date is, what the treasurer is looking for. So you're looking at December for the scavenger sale, tentatively.
Okay, gotcha. So, and then when we talk about the forfeiture sale, that's held by the clerk, our office. So, Steve or Lupe, could you explain what the forfeiture sale is?
So a forfeiture sale is taxes that have been forfeited, meaning they were auctioned out in the annual sale and was not bidded on. And if bidded on, it was not bidded on for 0%. Taxes become forfeited. So the clerk is allowed to sell anything that is forfeited. It can be from 1 year to 2 years. It can be an older year, just so long as the taxes are in forfeited statute. They are able and qualified to be sold.
Okay. Thank you. So with that, the forfeiture sale for 2000 was held for 2020 before the, when we all had to leave due to the pandemic. So we were able to have the forfeiture sale in 2020. But going into this year, it will be questionable, or going into 2022 based on the parameters that Lupe has given. So we do get the requests. People, we're calling to find out. They're calling to find out about the annual sale, the scavenger sale, and probably soon the forfeiture sale as well. So with property tax sale overview, just to highlight a few things, as we stated, it's held by the treasurer. But what I want to talk about is the benefits of the property taxes being purchased. The taxpayer's payment is then distributed to the respective local taxing districts, such as schools, libraries, park districts, villages, to ensure funds are allotted for services. So then, therefore, if they are bought, those funds can still be distributed so that a district can carry on normal business as usual, instead of having to probably borrow funds if they do not have them. The downside of property taxes being purchased, of course, is the taxpayer fees that causes such a great increase to the initial tax bill. And then potentially, if a taxpayer cannot pay, it could go to deeds. Okay, and Madre talked about the take notice created by the tax buyer, mailed out by the clerk's office. So you said your property taxes were sold, and you got the scared look like on Home Alone, what's going to happen to me, what's going to happen to my home, and better yet, Kevin Hart is there to save the day. He says, go on the tour with me because your property taxes have been sold, and we can tell you what you need to do. So we do have several brochures in our office that we can share that you can, have going to, I'm not sure who's all on the call right now, if we have any commissioners or particular mayors or anyone from any other agencies. We do have brochures that we can share with you to share with your constituents that gives them a little bit more detail on the redemption process as a whole and any information that they will need from our office. But the main question is, does this mean that somebody gets my house if I miss the tax payment? It could ultimately mean that, but most people pay their late taxes and penalties before losing their property. So those are things that are in the brochure that will help a person be a little bit more at ease. And then also, how long do I have to repay? There's a 2.5-year time period, 6 months to 2.5 years. Madre, do you want to comment on the how long do I have to pay?
Oh, certainly, no problem. Thanks for letting me chime in again. So basically, the redemption periods, as is indicated on slide 18, are from 6 months to 2.5, maybe 3 years. The 6 month range normally happens when there is a tax scavenger sale. Most of the properties in the scavenger sales are like commercial properties and vacant lots. And typically when those are purchased in a scavenger sale, because scavenger sales are properties that already have prior year taxes on them, the redemption period automatically for vacant lots of commercial property starts at 6 months. But if you have properties that are residential in usage, and they were bought in any tax sale, it could be the tax scavenger, it could be the annual, and the property is classified as a residential property. Those are the properties where the redemption periods will start at 2.5 years, 2.5 years, 2 years, 6 months. And that is the automatic statutory redemption date given to a property owner whose taxes are personal tax when the property is residential property. The tax buyer has the right who purchased those property taxes that are residential. The tax buyer has a right to submit an extension of the redemption period to where they can extend it beyond the 2.5 years to up to 3 years. And so that means that the owner already has between 6 months, 2.5 years, depending on the type of property, depending on the type of tax sale, to redeem the taxes back in full. But if the tax buyer decides that they're going to exercise their right to give them an extension, then that'll give the homeowner a little bit more time to redeem. But what that does create is the fees, which are already excessive, can be even more excessive when a tax sale is extended, because that's when tax buyers simply will go to court and file a petition for tax deed, and they add legal fees to the sale. So yeah, it might give a property owner more time, but it's going to also be more money for them to redeem in the end.
Okay. Thank you, Madre, for that synopsis.
Welcome.
Okay. As Madre alluded to, and I'm going to take us to the one, a slide in here that talks about different fees. We are not only supporting the taxpayer, we are also supporting the tax buyer. So we're taking in records through Lupe's area, the tax sales, and then there's records that come through the customer service for us to post and all of that for the tax buyers, as well as then on the accounting side, we're releasing funds to the tax buyer. And then of course, we're servicing the taxpayer. So our office is what I consider to be the middleman, the information giver, the funds collector. So we play a key role. But as Madre alluded to, the longer that the time period is extended, the greater the fees can occur. And so one part of the process for a person to find out what do I owe to even redeem the taxes, it will start with an estimate of cost of redemption. And that is what we call the document itself. And it's really a bill. If we could say it, this is really your redemption bill or your delinquent tax bill. And so this is what it looks like, giving the detailed information at the top of what volume, the books and whatever, because those are the judgment books that we keep here, that we do have to go back and post all this information in once taxes are redeemed or things happen with the tax buyer to add additional fees, etc. And we're tracking the dates. All of those things are important. You have the redemption date here. So if a taxpayer comes in, we're telling them, please make sure you're paying attention to this date, because for this one, we're looking at 11/10/2021. So anything after that, your property time for redemption has technically lapsed. And then, of course, we stamp the date we issued this bill on our end, and those dates are really important because you can come in a week from, let's say that one was June 1st, you can come in a week later, and because of the timing, as Madre alluded to, the respective tax buyer has gone to court, and these additional fees may have been in court, have been allotted. The sheriff's fees, the buyer's fees, etc., could have been added on, and then therefore increasing the grand total of your initial bill greater. I'm going to go back a couple of slides here, and then I see the time is about 1:12. And so some of these other slides are more so informational that we can share with them, Frank, if they choose to have the document. But as we talked about, if your taxes were sold, you want the cost of estimate. it's the calculation. And as we alluded to, it's payment must be made in full, including all of the delinquent taxes in the past. For example, I know, I think it was Madre and Steve and I, we had worked on a particular customer's inquiry. Well, it was the delinquent taxes was $800 technically. But by the time they waited and was getting to that 3-year time period, monthly interest had incurred, and that's from the treasurer's office, the tax buyer interest, and then other fees and penalties. They were looking at about $4,000 coming from $800. So that's why it's imperative to pay attention to your bill when it comes from the treasurer for your regular taxes, and then paying attention to those notes. And then also we have screen prints in here to just show you different areas to look for information. As Madre alluded to the different interests that could occur, I pulled from the ordinance because, again, customers come in and I had one say, this is just a scam. And we're saying, no, this was not set by the clerk's office. This is law. This is what must be applied because of the timing. So if you can just take a look at this screen that goes through the scavenger tax sale procedures by ordinance, if redeemed within a certain time period, it's 3% per month. But look at where a customer can end up after 18 and 24 months. And then thereafter, you're looking at 48%, which is 0.5% per annual, 5%, can't get the words out, tongue twister, 0.5% per month, or 6% per annum. That's a lot of tax interest to be applied. And that's one way to say whatever a customer needs to do, try to get those taxes paid. So what I'm going to just kind of go to real quickly to leave time for any questions is, how can we help you help your constituents, family, and friends stay off of the tax sale list? One, take advantage of all tax exemptions offered by the county assessor. Go out to the website, see what you may, what category you may fit in. Of course, the homestead, you live in your house, you should get that exemption. But there's others for seniors based on the age, based on income, and which persons should really take advantage of. Because at the end of the day, who knows? You could be at zero taxes. I'm just saying. Pay the taxes on time. Create a savings plan. If you've paid off your home and your taxes are no longer paid through escrow, through your mortgage, definitely help a friend or neighbor create a savings plan. Annually, let's say from prior year what your taxes were, try to create a plan, adding maybe 3% more to that, just for the cost of living, to throw that in there, so that you can have the savings available. And then we would definitely say, as we've been working with a particular customer, looking at some of their receipts to determine if there may be a sale in error, and I'll try to hit that part real quickly before we wrap up on what a sale in error is. But keep your receipts, whether you paid online, whether you mailed it in by check, or you went directly to Chase. Keep the receipts. So if your property ends up on the list in error, you're able to show the treasurer, look, I paid my taxes. Something's going wrong here. Here's my documentation. Again, ensure your tax bill is going to the correct address. Go to the treasurer's website. I believe there's a link where you can change that address. I don't know fully everything that's out there, but I admonish you to take a look. And of course, keep your records if you are making the escrow payments. So then therefore you have a record, your bank has a record of what they've collected from you for payment for your taxes. Check the various websites. There are several that you can see if your property is on that list, your friends or your neighbors. And then again, just checking the website, as I stated, the tax sale again has been postponed. That's noted on the treasurer's website. However, the ordinance does state, in which the timing that they will try for it this year. But as we're hearing with COVID numbers wrapping up, we don't know. I'm just going to still say we are still in a we don't know until the treasurer announces it. If the sale occurs in error, how can you prove it? There are different ways as listed in the ordinance as it relates to sale in error. And again, an error may have been discovered in the assessment value, or you've paid and they didn't have the information. So this list just highlights a few of them, but there are additional reasons noted in the ordinance or the statute itself for sale in error. And then, as we stated, if you go out to the various websites, you will see if the taxes have been sold and they were paid by a tax buyer, so that no one walks away saying, oh, my taxes were paid. It says 0. But as you can see from this screen where it says indicate taxes were sold and paid by the tax buyer, if it says that at the end, then those taxes, you need to figure out how you can redeem them before it reaches the termination date or the last day to redeem. And then again, on the clerk's website, we have quite a bit of information on how to redeem your taxes. We have several brochures we can we can share with the particular agencies or whomever may want them to come to their village, library, etc. And again, websites that are out there, this is the clerk's website. Well, it will show you do have an urgent message. You're reaching your last day to redeem. These are messages that are out there. So again, when people come into our office and they're saying, I didn't know, it's really hard for us to say, okay, with all this information, where did you miss it? Or better yet, let us help you so you know what you need to do. So high level is our unpaid taxes are sold at the auction. The tax buyer holds a lien on the property. The sold taxes may be paid by redemption here at the clerk's office. And then finally, if not redeemed, the property is deeded to the buyer. But of course, it's a process for that. And the timing, as Madre talked about, could get to the 3-year time frame. Here, we just talk about here the delinquent taxes timeline, high-level overview. So keep it in mind when that first tax installment comes out, down to the second installment, that those have to be paid in full. So you do not reach where your property PIN number is on the tax sale list. So I know together we've said a mouthful. We put quite a bit in some of our slides just to share with you. And this may be the first time that the clerk's office and all that we do related to property taxes have been presented to you. But again, you will have our email addresses and the various phone numbers if you have any questions and or concerns. So right now that ends our overall presentation, Jamaica and President of the Rotary Club. So are there any questions that you all have for us? And we have our team here that, of course, they know I will designate some of them to answer some of those questions.
Carolyn, let me just thank you for this overview of it's a complex conversation to have. And in some cases, people don't know what questions to ask. But you've done a yeoman's job, you and your entire team, and I want to acknowledge all of your team members and the great work that they do in Real Estate and Tax Services Division. There's only one question in the chat box currently, but I think that you answered most of the ones that were posted there. But there was one question that was asking if you would just give us a thumbnail sketch of efforts made to modernize and streamline services in your division.
Oh, okay. We are currently looking at quite a bit. And long story short, COVID showed us what we need to have, let's say, online and available for customers, because they were asking the question and sending in documents and mail was coming, but no one was bringing the mail. So on our end, we've had discussions and started with our IT to set up a portal in which a tax buyer, because we had the tax buyers too, sending their information because they wanted their funds, they wanted to post, and of course they were grabbing the subsequent taxes for those delinquent taxes. And so we've been talking through with our IT team to set up a separate portal for those particular tax buyers, similar to what we have with our tax extension for the districts, where they can send us information directly. We can respond to them directly. We'll get their respective reports. They can send us their documents as well, and we can work on them. Right now, what we did, I'll call it like a little modified method. We set up email boxes for everything. So let's say tax redemption always had a mailbox, but then we added more things that the tax buyer could send, and then also for the tax sales as well. And then on the counting side, when they wanted their funds, we set up those emails. But we want to go to an online portal version so that they can send that information to us. Then also what's coming is that we do not accept credit cards in our office right now. If we make it to the credit card part, which is part of our new cashiering system that we're working on, once we get that set up in-house, over-the-counter, face-to-face sales, that portal, we want to link to that credit card process as well. So then that means you need to purchase your bills. You can go through that particular portal link. You can pay by credit card. It's similar to the way that we have a clerk in the recorder's office where you can get your certified copy. You can get all those things. We want to make it available so that that customer or that taxpayer who needs to see that bill can get it right away. Those are discussions we're having with Kevin in IT. And so it's just kind of been step by step, but we're getting there.
Okay, I think that you really went into a lot of detail about how serious the penalties are for paying taxes late. So, and there's another question, what do residents do if their unpaid taxes were offered but not sold? I'm not sure if you covered that.
Okay, I'm going to go to, I'm trying to think if I had a slide in here, okay, I was about to call Madre, but I'm getting that double from you, Madre. Steve, can you speak on that? Okay, Steve, we still can't connect with you. So with that, clerk, in our office, delinquent taxes, let's say, are handed off from the treasurer's office to us. So then, therefore, we have all the delinquent tax information. A customer can come because their taxes were not sold. Madre, I'm going to put you on mute because we're getting the echo. If you can go on mute. Okay, so with the taxes, because they were not sold, they can still get the bill from the clerk's office. They would come to our customer service area and they would create the respective bill for them. And then they would have to pay that bill in the treasurer's office. So we call that the open item bill. And so that's what is known to us as open item. But to a customer, I'm saying a bill is a bill. It's delinquent and you have to pay it. So those are the ones that would be paid in the treasurer's office. However, our office will produce it for them. You're on mute, clerk. You went back to mute.
Hold on.
Uh-oh. She keeps going to mute, Frank.
Off and on, and on and off. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Okay. So Carolyn, again, thank you and your entire staff for this. Okay, so now we have Madre. Why don't you? There you go. Thank you again for this very informative talk on taxes. Nobody likes to talk about them, but they're a what do they say? There's a couple things you're going to do in this life. You're going to pay taxes and die or something like that. I don't remember how it goes. But anyway, thank you. And, I know tax bills going to be sent out. I think in some areas they're just getting their assessments and people are ready to slit their wrists and jump off of buildings. But don't do that, okay? Carolyn, I think we'll probably have you back again, maybe at the beginning of the year before the first installment goes out. People need to understand that this is serious business. At the end of the day, if you don't pay your taxes, these penalties are unbelievable. And we'll have you back again, Carolyn, probably, like I said, at the beginning of the year, just before the first installment, so that people can think in terms of filing appeals and what have you. There is help for folks if you avail yourself to it. With that, Mr. President, it's on you. Thank you.
Dr. Lipka, you are muted.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Clerk Yarborough. Appreciate your great speakers again today. Very informative, very practical and useful. We've got about 2 minutes left to go. I wonder, Frank, could you activate Susan Flanagan just for a moment, and she'll correct or add to the information Bonnie and I provided in less than 2 minutes.
Sure, not a problem at all. Hold on just a moment.
And then, Susan, you'll need to unmute your mic probably. Susan Flanagan is our treasurer, and she has additional information.
Oh, she's calling you.
Oh, she's calling. That's on her phone, so it might be an issue. Let me just finish by saying the actual number, total number dispersed in the meeting was $6,500, but we had previously dispersed over $2,000. I understand that our total is $8,400 dispersed last year, more than we did even in our last year of having a dinner auction. So congratulations, club members. Appreciate your efforts. And thank you, Susan, for that update. We appreciate that as well. Everyone have a wonderful day, and travel safely as you travel for the weekend. We won't be perhaps talking before the weekend, and just want everyone to have a wonderful day today and a weekend of rejuvenation. Thank you. God bless you all. This meeting is adjourned.